Assalamualaikum. Good day to everyone. This is Mr. Randy once again. So let us proceed to Module 2 of our course, Network Operating System, Administration and Security. We are done with Module 1. Module 1 entitled Planning and Deployment of Network Operating System. So in Module 1, we study what are the things we need to do before deployment of the network operating system. Of course, we should know the hardware requirements of our network operating system before you install. Okay, you must know the requirements for memory, the hard drive, your microprocessor. Okay, you must have, of course, the CD-ROM, enough memory. So that is basically chapter 1. So now in chapter 2, it's time for us to set up the network operating system with the domain environment. So meaning, after we install the network operating system, primarily Microsoft Server 2016, so it's time for us to install services inside our server. Okay? So set up the network operating system with domain environment. So let us continue our journey. So I always showing this picture because we are not yet in our classroom setup. Okay? This is our objective for module 2. After we complete this module, you will be able to install a server operating system. Remember, we have only one installer here, Microsoft Server 2016. Okay, I hope you have it. So we can differentiate between the different installation options. Okay, there are desktop experience. Okay, there is a installation that is CLI, command line interface. So number 3, we will be able to run the server manager. We will be able to add and remove roles. When we say roles, this is also referring to services like email service, file transfer protocol, DNS, DHCP, the domain controller, okay? Anyhow, after we install the server, we just simply add services. We can simply remove services. Also, after we install the Microsoft server, we will be able to write a basic PowerShell script to add or remove a server role. I think you done some scripting in introduction to operating system. Okay, I hope you still remember that. We need notepad, then we need to type the code, the script, then we need to save it as .ps1, then we will be able to run in the environment of server. So the practical requirements here, your VirtualBox is already installed, I believe. Okay? So if you still not yet installed the VirtualBox, so if you want to install, go to www.virtualbox.org and you need to select your which platform you are using. If you are using Microsoft, of course, you need to select Windows. If you are using Linux, you need to select the Unix. If you are using the OS, the Mac OS for Apple, if your operating system is Apple or your computer is Mac. So I also given to you the link to download all the things we need. It is in our e-learning also. Okay, download the Windows Server 2016. Keep it, save it. Okay, so download inside the folder. There is a Windows 10. Windows 10 will be used later, but it's up to you. If you want to download, better to download because it is a big file. Okay, it takes time for you to download. So download it. All the software requirements in our course must be saved in a one folder for your reference because you will be using that in practical, in midterm, and even in final exam. So on how to install the Windows Server 2016 step by step, okay, I already posted a video and even a PDF file or MS Word file which is available in your e-learning. So all you have to do is follow the step. So I always ask student to please read it. Read line by line. Okay? So let us proceed. So planning the storage space on your server because this is one of the primary needs to consider if your storage are allowed to install the operating system. Why? Because it has a lot of information that you need to install here. It is a server, it's a big file. So we need to know that our operating OS, system storage is normally a disk connected to standard drive interface. So you remember your computer hardware? This is a normal hard disk. Okay, this is a normal hard disk or what we so called HDD, hard disk drive. Okay? So SATA or Serial Advanced Technology Attachment or SATA, this is the cable that this is the blue cable if you remember, this is the SATA, is a standard for connecting and transferring data from hard disk drive, okay, HDD to your computer. So SATA cable is connected to hard drive and it is connected to motherboard. Okay, let me show it to you using Google SATA cable so that you know what I'm referring to. Okay, you remember this cable? You remember this cable? Okay, so you remember this cable? This is our SATA cable. It is connected at the motherboard and in the hard drive. Okay, so I hope you still remember. So we have another what we so-called storage, which is SSD. SSD stands for Solid State Drive, is a solid state storage device that uses integrated circuit assemblies to store data persistently, typically using flash memory and functioning as secondary storage in hierarchy of computer storage. Why we have hierarchy of computer storage? But before that, let me differentiate between the hard disk drive and the solid state drive. The hard disk drive, basically, it is mechanical. Okay, when we say mechanical, okay, let me write, okay, the HDD, I will try to make it big, format, font, so that you can read what I'm writing. HDD is mechanical. So there are some rotational mechanism. Okay, when we say rotational mechanism, sometimes this is noisy. Your hard disk drive is noisy, right? Because something is moving inside. The SDD, uh, SD, SSD, solid state drive, it is a integrated circuit or IC. So integrated circuit meaning it's like your flash drive. It is a IC inside. Okay? SSD is integrated circuit. It is quiet. At the same time, in terms of speed, this is more faster. Okay, this is the new technology for hard disk drive. If I will continue reading this, functioning as secondary storage in the hierarchy of computer storage. We have hierarchy. When we say hierarchy, sequence. Okay? When we say sequence, first is your RAM, random access memory. Okay, that is the primary. The primary storage is your RAM. The secondary storage is your drive. Okay, hard disk drive. This is secondary. Okay, basically primary, it is your primary storage is your RAM, and the secondary storage is your hard disk drive or your solid state drive. Okay, so let us move. So computers are always loading things into work on. Okay, and such as application and data, and then settings them aside from later. RAM is your computer short-term memory. Okay, random access memory is your computer short-term memory because it only works when there is a power. If you remove the power, your data will vanish. In contrast, a computer hard disk or your solid state drive, it's a long-term memory. Okay? Correct me for this. This is solid state drive, SSD. It is a long-term memory. RAM is for short-term because you need power to work with that. SSD and your hard disk drive, without power, the data will be stored permanently. Okay? RAM is temporary storage that goes away when the power turns off. Okay? RAM significantly faster than a hard disk. 20 to 100 times depending on the specific hardware type and task. Because of its speed, RAM is used to process information immediately. You know that your operating system is loaded to random access memory. Okay, it is loaded when you turn on your computer. When you say turn on, that is what we so called boot. Okay, because we are talking. When you say uh, boot is equal to turn on. When you say shut down, this is the technical term, turn off. Why we need to boot? Because there are a lot of application, the operating system, the application need to be loaded. When we say shutdown, you need to properly close all the application and even the operating system. So remember the technical term, boot and shutdown. Please boot the computer. Okay, meaning turn on. Shut down the computer. It is turn off. So, we need to plan about the storage space on your server. The process of deciding the storage for your server depend on the following factor. Number one, there are four. The amount of storage space required by the server. Okay, there's a minimum requirements. But what I'm trying to emphasize here, storage and memory is often measured in bytes or megabytes and gigabytes or kilobytes. Okay, I already explained to you this about kilo, okay, about bytes, kilobytes, megabytes, okay, and gigabytes. Okay, I hope you still remember this. 1,000, what's that? 1,000,000, 6, right? Next, it's 1,900,000,000. Just remember the 3, 6, 9 zeros. Okay, kilo, mega, and giga. So those, you should know the conversion. The number of user who will be accessing the server at the same time. Okay, I believe we have our own drive. Okay, we have our own drive in the college, which is the OneDrive. Are you using the OneDrive? I think I just show it to you the OneDrive. This is my OneDrive where you are accessing the installer. It's here. Okay. I believe you have also like this in your Etimad account. This is the installer. This is Windows 10, midterm, practical, final exam. Why final exam is not here? Because final exam was conducted in the campus. Okay? Meaning the exam was in the college. So the number of users who will be accessing the server at the same time. So you need to consider that. How many number of user? So if you have a lot of user, you must have a big storage. You must have a big storage. Excuse me. The sensitive of the data to be stored on the server. When we say sensitivity, these are confidential. Okay. Is this student record, staff record? Is very important record. So you need also consider that. So the importance of the data to the organization, like for example, your transcript, your profile, your picture, your information, they are stored into a one storage. Okay, so you need to consider the amount, you need to consider the number of user, you need to consider the sensitivity of the data, it needs to be confidential, and how importance of the data to the organization. Okay. So let us understand Windows disk settings. Okay? I know most of you are using Windows Microsoft operating system. So it is very important to know the following prior to install the new partition. So what is partition? Okay? What is partition? So that we will understand what is partition, let me define it by opening a what is partition? Okay, enter. So this is the definition of your partition. When we say partition, oh, okay, this partition. So that this partition. So this partition is slicing or cutting the creation of one or more region on secondary storage so that the region can be managed separately. For example, I have here in my computer, I have only one drive, but when you check my Explorer, let's say computer, I have drive C and I have drive D. So mine is most likely this is 400. Remember, when you are checking the capacity of your hard drive, it will not be exact. My hard drive is 500 GB, but you will see here 367. This is considered 400. Okay? 97.6 GB, this is considered 100. 400 plus 100 is equal to 500 GB. Okay? So you should know how to get the capacity of your hard drive. Anyhow, in the later part of our course, we will create drive, we will create partition. Okay? When we say partition, you are slicing. You are making your physical drive more. Let's say you have one hard disk. Inside the one hard disk, you have drive C, you have drive D. So meaning, you can manage this and you can manage this. Basically, local disk or drive C is your operating system. Drive D is your data. That is a good practice so that your system will run fast. Okay? So it is very important to know the following prior to install the new partition. Number one, we need to select a partitioning style. Okay? Master boot record, the MBR. This is for x86 base and x64 base computer. Okay? So the GUID, the Global Unique Identifier Partition Table or GPT, this is most operating system support GPT nowadays. Why? MBR is old. It's kadim. Okay, the MBR is an old one. What we are using now is the GPT. Select a disk type. It can be basic or dynamic. What is a basic disk? A basic disk is a partition, is a portion of the disk that function as a physical separate unit. Okay, this is a basic disk. Okay, I will show it to you. Drive C is just a basic disk. A partition is a portion of a portion of the disk that function as physical separate unit. Okay, it is separate drive C. About on a dynamic disk, it is storage divided into volume instead of where is it? Partition. Okay? Into volume. Let's say 100 GB is for this, 200 GB for this, 300 GB for application, 200 GB for operating system, 100 GB for data. Okay? It is in terms of volume. Okay? Volume. The dynamic disk, it is divided into volume. Basic disk, it is divided into disk or a physical separate unit. Number 3, divide the disk into partition or volume. Okay? Refer to partition on basic disk and volume on a dynamic disk. So we know what is basic and volume on dynamic disk. This is partition on basic, volume for dynamic. Take note of this. Take note of this, class. Take note. Take note. Number 4, format the partition or volume with a file system. What are file system? File system are the storage type separate from a file system type between basic or dynamic. Can contain any combination of FAT16, FAT32, and NTFS partition or volume. What is FAT16? It stands for File Allocation Table 16. Okay? File Allocation Table 16. FAT32 is File Allocation Table 32-bit. And NTFS stands for New Technology File System. Okay? In the last part, we will discuss that. So, volume types in Windows Server can be simple volume. Okay? It consists of space from a single disk. Span volume, a method for combining the space from multiple dynamic disks into a single large volume. Strip volume, the system writes data one strip at a time to each successive disk in the volume. Number 4, mirror volume. When we say mirror volume, it is identical. Okay, you know twin brother and sister, they are the same, right? Mirror consists of an identical amount of space on two physical disks. It's like you copy it. Okay? Two physical disks and you copied it. Both of which must be dynamic disks. And number 5, RAID 5 volume consists of space on 3 or more physical disks. Okay? RAID 5 consists of space on 3 or more physical disks. Remember, this 5, it will come out in multiple choice question of your quiz and even in your midterm. So this is what I mean, the file system that Windows Server 2016 supported. A file system is the underlying disk drive structure that enable you to store information on your computer. The first one is NTFS. NT is a new technology file system. So it's here, new technology file system. Is the file system that the Windows NT, NT means new technology, okay, new technology operating system uses for storing and retrieving file on a hard this. Okay? So FAT32, it is file allocation table. File allocation table. 32 increases the number of bits used to address cluster and also reduce the size of each cluster. Okay? exFAT. exFAT means is a file system that was created to be used on flash drive. So you have flash drive. So your file system is exFAT, like the USB memory stick and SD card. Okay? The name exFAT is an acronym for Extended File Allocation Table. Okay? exFAT is Extended File Allocation Table. Number 4, FAT, also known as File Allocation Table 16. This is the original file system used in this operating system. And Windows 3.x, this is Kadim, this is an old one, and was original only designed for use in relatively small partition. Okay, this is an old one. This is an old one. REFS, Resilient File System, is a Microsoft newest file system designed to maximize the data availability, scale efficiently to large data sets across diverse workload, and provide data integrity by means of resiliency to corruption. So it is very small chance for the data to be corrupted because of this resilient file system. So remember those 5, NTFS, FAT32, exFAT, and FAT, and REFS file system. Remember those 5 file system. So I think we are done with chapter 2. Chapter 2 is very short. So if you have any questions, I hope you understand well about module 2. It's about storage. So any questions? If you don't have any questions, I think we are ready to perform all the activity in our in our e-learning. Okay, in e-learning I already uploaded the activities, and I hope you are done with the VirtualBox. You install your Microsoft Server 2016, and we need to perform practical 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5, 2.6. So we have a lot of activity in chapter 2. So as I told you, it's very minimal in terms of discussion, but we have a lot of things to perform. Okay? So if you don't have any questions, okay, let us proceed on our practical activity. Okay?